Hey everybody, welcome back to A Piece of Mind. Today, we're going to be talking about Venom Let There Be Carnage. My name is Omar, aka Venomar, and this is
Kason, aka Checha.
And today we're going to be talking spoilers, so this is your warning. We're definitely not going to hold anything back. We're going to be talking about everything in between, the after credit scene, everything that there is to know about the movie, okay? So here's your warning. So if you got to dip out, this is your chance. So we want to go see it. It was in Imax, and we saw it when it came out. To be honest, overall, I liked the movie, but I was really disappointed at certain aspects of the movie. But it's still a really good movie. I mean, me that I'm a big Venom Carnage fan, I'm all into the stories and all that. It kind of disappointed me a little bit. Just to be able to see Venom and Carnage actually fight in the big screen, not enough is worth the price, of admission. But I have high hopes, and I always wanted to see Cletus Cassidy, Carnage, on the screen, and he was a bit short of what I wanted, but that's just me. What do you think?
Why'd they change his haircut?
Yes, they didn't explain the haircut, which I don't mind because he looked like Sideshow Bob before. His haircut went from crazy to
Bob
a little crazy to mullet in the front. It was weird. I don't know. It was totally weird. What do you think about the movie overall?
It was really good. I really like Carnage, aka Cletus Cassidy, in this movie. There's not a lot of action as I expected there to be. Like, there was only one big fight scene in the movie, which kind of disappointed me.
There is not that much interactions between Venom and Carnage until pretty much the end. And that was a big letdown because anybody that has even heard of the comics or the animated series, in the beginning they have a lot of interaction because that's, Venom's offspring. So for them to just have a couple of lines at the end of the movie, it was just kind of a letdown. Like, I didn't think there was enough character development. Everything was kind of rushed. You could tell they were trying to set a pretty fast pace for the movie. But I think it suffered a bit and we didn't really get to know the characters. Let's talk about the visuals. How were the visuals?
They were really good. The graphics, like on Carnage, like when they shot him, you could see like the bullet reflection, and how shiny and glossy they were.
Yeah, the graphics on this movie are pretty stellar. I mean, 10, 15 years ago, we wouldn't have been able to do this. This movie has the visuals down to a T. I mean, we're talking about Carnage, somebody who could bend and fold and create appendages that are sharp and weapons that come out of his extremities and create sharp objects that he could throw at people. I mean, this is not something easy to make. This is not a costume you could just tailor and tell the character to put it on and then now you're Carnage. So they really had to go and do extra work to create this, and you know what? They came pretty close. The only nitpick that I would have versus the costume, and Casey knows this already, I've been talking about it since the first picture came out, is his teeth. His teeth are supposed to be black.
I don't really mind it. I kind of got used to the design.
It's not a big difference, but somebody that prefers the classic look, I've always liked that he has black teeth. I mean, black just brings out more of an evilness look to him, and I didn't really like that they went with the white teeth because it makes him look more like Venom. But I mean, there's nothing wrong with looking more like Venom. It's just that I prefer black teeth. And obviously they did an excellent job in the visual effects. The only thing I would say with Venom is that he looks exactly the same as in the first movie, but in every sequel we're used to seeing upgrades or changes. Look at all the Batman movies. Every single time there's a Batman movie, there's a new suit. Same thing with SpiderMan. So I was kind of disappointed that his suit remained the same. And I was hoping that he would get the symbol somehow. And they kind of hinted at something like that towards the end. I forgot what he said. Well, when he was talking about a cape or something like that in the end credit scene before the credits. And he was talking about a cape, and I thought he was going to say maybe a symbol or logo. And they didn't take that opportunity, and they didn't really do it. So, oh wow. But the visuals were great nevertheless. The fight scenes were, typical CGI fight scenes where it's not fully lit rooms. They're dimly lit, so that way they could get away with some of the CGI. But overall, they were good. He looked amazing. He did a lot of cool things that he does in the comics. Something that I didn't even know he could do, like the tornado in the jail scene. Now, we're going to move over to the story, which is where I felt the movie needed a lot more. So, I already talked a little bit about how there wasn't enough character development. Some of the characters felt rushed, and I'll give you an example. Shriek didn't really have a full fleshed out story. Yes, they mentioned what happened to her, why she's at Ravencroft.
How they met.
Yes, how she became Cletus's friend.
Which is incredibly dumb, by the way. He's a serial killer.
Yes, he's a serial killer. He killed his grandma, and she's like, okay, let's hook up. So, I mean, they didn't really go into a lot of detail, and they didn't give her enough screen time to show her abilities, her where she's at, what she's thinking, and all of a sudden she just sees this ex-boyfriend, and he has a symbiote, and they completely go back to where they left off, and that was kind of weird for me. But overall, I mean, like I said, there was action, so they were trying to just move from action to action, and they did that pretty well. But I think that kind of made the movie suffer a little bit. And the story department, Cletus wasn't as well fleshed out as Venom was in the first movie. In the first movie, the Venom movie, Eddie and Venom, they built the relationship from getting to know each other to, beginning to, to fight, and then to eventually coming back together and becoming one. Carnage and Cletus have none of that.
At the end of the movie, they say, oh, they don't match.
Yes, all of a sudden they don't match towards the end of the movie, but in the beginning of the movie, they're kind of like at odds with each other, because here you have Carnage that doesn't like Shriek, and Cletus loves her, and there's a conflict there, and that's when Venom and Eddie Brock notice that. So they use that against them. But in the comics, it's actually the opposite. They're so alike, Carnage and Cletus, that they form a stronger bond than even Venom and Eddie. So it's kind of weird that in this one they didn't really bond that well. I mean, in the comics, he's literally infused in Cletus's blood, so there's no way of really killing Carnage unless you eliminate all of Cletus's blood, and vice versa. You can still bring back Cletus. But overall, the story did lack a lot. I mean, it wasn't really like a heartfelt story. It wasn't like, it was just kind of like action, problem solved, move on. And let's talk about the ending. What happened to Carnage?
He dies.
Yes, I do not like that at all. Carnage should have been a Joker type of villain that goes to other movies or becomes a constant threat to Venom.
They literally just go, no, screw this guy. That's what they do.
And then they freaking eat him.
Yeah.
So I didn't like that at all. I thought that, why waste a great actor like Woody Harrelson just to be in one movie? They could have brought him back in the in the third one or whatever, or in the fourth one, a couple of movies down the line. Because I would really like to see Venom and SpiderMan eventually team up against Carnage as he did in the comics. The last fight scene was pretty cool. Oh, it was, I mean, completely CGI, but it was still pretty badass. He did a lot of cool things. But I think they could have done more. I mean, I felt that this was a poorly edited movie. And I get it, they were trying to cut it so it could be a faster pace, but it just wasn't for me. So what about you? What about the story did you like, or what didn't you like?
I didn't like that. Like we said earlier, like Cletus, he's supposed to be like cold. Like he shouldn't have like a soul. Like he's a serial killer. Like he shouldn't have. I'm not saying that serial killers can't have feelings, but like he shouldn't like have love for somebody.
Essentially, you think that Cletus would. I mean, he turned on his own grandmother when he was little, and they got that right from the comics. He turned on his own mother, trying to kill her in the comics. In the movie, they said he killed her, but he actually didn't. He actually tried to throw a TV into her bathtub when she was taking a shower. I mean, a bath. But she didn't. And then in the comics, I don't think he ever killed his father. I think his father wasn't around, and that caused a lot of pain to Cletus. But overall, he was just sadistic. I mean, he was evil. He's the Marvel version of Joker. And you mentioned Joker, and we're talking about crazy up the wall. So they didn't do that fully with Carnage. They kind of try to give him a justification for the way he was, but he's just bad, and he didn't seem like that in this movie. Well, I'm talking about Cletus actually. And we didn't really have that many moments with Carnage itself, the symbiote. It was just a few times that he talked. I think it was only one actually when he told Cletus what he wanted to do, which was kill Venom.
It was in the car in the reflection scene, and in like the what's that one place where the crazy people go?
Ravencroft.
Yeah, and then it was outside there.
Yes, and whenever he was on screen, it was brief, so I didn't like that either. But overall, I mean, the story was really weak in my case. That's why I didn't really enjoy it. The action was cool because, of course, as a fanboy, I like to see Carnage versus Venom. But yeah, I wish this would have been done differently. I'm not blaming Andy Serkis, which is a director, but Andy Serkis, he doesn't have that much directorial credits, and I think it showed. I mean, I would have preferred somebody who had more experience, or the first director to come back, which I think it was Ruben Fleischer, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, but the first director pretty much already knew what he was doing, so they could have just kept him on, and he could have went on and hopefully made a better Carnage versus Venom movie. But overall, I mean, I'm not totally disappointed, because this would have been wanting to see Venom versus Carnage, so that's cool, right?
And a good CGI.
Yes. In a bubble, that's all I wanted, to see Venom and Carnage up on the screen, them to look as close to comics accurate as possible.
Which we really didn't get.
It was kind of. But I mean, this is what I wanted, obviously, from Venom, right?
The symbol, with the white squares on his hand.
Yes, the white squares. This. But I mean, we got this, and this is not that far off. But I mean, there is big differences. Like, where's the logo? Where's the
why is there veins?
And obviously, what we didn't get from Venom is that, oh, this is what I totally hate. Look at them toes.
Look at them toes.
Them toes are hideous, man. So I just don't like those toes. Another thing, there is no tie to Spider-Man, at least not yet. And we're about to talk about that. But that's why he web shoots in the comics and the cartoons, because the symbiote really loved being bonded to Spider-Man. So he mimicked some of the things that Spider-Man did when Eddie Brock took over the symbiote. So there's none of that. He doesn't web shoot. He does the tendril thing. So there's a lot of things that are different. I mean, I do recommend you guys to at least see it once in theaters.
Toxin appears in it. That's pretty cool, I guess. I wonder if...
Not really Toxin, but the beginning of Toxin. They kind of show a little bit, there's a detective, I think his name is Mulligan.
And then you can see his eyes.
Yes,
like
he has interactions with Shriek and Venom towards the end of the movie in the last scene. And in the comic books, that detective is actually, becomes Toxin. So in the movie, they don't show exactly when it happens, but at one point you think he's dead because he had just fought Shriek, and then Carnage was laying all his tendrils all over the place. So at some point, we're assuming that, you know, Carnage had an offspring, and it went into Detective Mulligan, and he wakes up with his eyes fully blue, kind of like Shriek's.
It's black, and then like
yes,
little circles and.
And then we're pretty sure that we're gonna get a Toxin sequel in the future, especially because this movie did bananas in the theaters right now. No other movie has done this good in the pandemic, and it actually did better than the first Venom movie, so that's really promising. So I'm excited that we're possibly getting another Venom movie. Being a hardcore Venom Carnage fan, as you can see, was let down a bit. So I mean, I'm just hoping that the next movie is a bit better, and I mean, I just want to keep enjoying these movies for as long as I can, even if they're not fully to my taste. It's still really cool to be able to see them and talk about them and have fun. But anyway, moving on to one of the most important things of the movie, actually one of my favorite parts of the movie, which a lot of people have said as well, the post-credit scene. So I'll let Checha talk about the post-credit scene. So what happens in the post-credit scene? So
Venom's explaining that he has secrets, like everybody has secrets, and then something happens. Like, I'm guessing it's tied to the new No Way Home movie, where Doctor Strange fixes the realities, supposedly, and then they go like through like this dramatic like black
like
hole scene, like a shift.
And he appears to be in the same room, right?
Yeah, but in somebody else, like it's.
Well, he appears to be in the same room, but the room changes.
It belongs to like somebody else.
Yeah, some guy comes out of the restroom and he says, "What are you doing in my room?" And well, before that happens, Venom and Eddie take a look at the TV, and who's on the screen?
Tom Holland.
Tom freaking Holland in his Spider-Man suit, but without the mask on, and he's, I think, in the middle of Times Square. And everybody's approaching him, like the reporters, fans, people. They're just ganging up on him because it had just been announced that he's Spider-Man.
Eddie transforms and
yes,
Venom goes towards the TV and he says, "That guy."
And he licks the screen as to say that he knows him already. He doesn't call him by name. He doesn't say Spider-Man or anything like that. But they're definitely hinting at him knowing Spider-Man or Peter Parker,
maybe like in a different universe, like
maybe another dimension, another universe, but they don't really explain it, but you get a hint that he knows him already. Finally, after all these years, they finally brought Spider-Man into the freaking Venom universe, or vice versa.
In the movie, he screamed, "Finally!"
Yes, I did. I was like, finally. I was like, we've been waiting for so long. I didn't want a Venom movie without the Spider-Man setup. Spider-Man gets a symbiote suit, and then he sheds the symbiote suit, and it goes to Eddie Brock, and then obviously Eddie and Peter have a relationship with Venom hates Peter, and Peter has conflict with Eddie a little bit. There's going to be none of that. At least we think that. So the ending was great because it confirms that now not only is Spider-Man a part of the Venom movies, but more importantly, that Venom is
a part of the MCU.
So obviously that's exciting because I've always wanted to see Venom and integrated in the MCU, and just to be able to see Venom with Spider-Man. I mean, maybe in the future we could get Venom and Wolverine.
Think of all the possibilities.
Venom and freaking who else? Black Panther. Things like that. And then we could start seeing something that I love about Venom is when Venom takes over other superheroes, and then it becomes like a hybrid type of like Venom Wolverine, and he looks sick. I mean, I love searching art of just things like that. There's also some off-brand versions that they have, like a Venom Batman, which looks sick, right? There's a bunch of different Venom combos that they have out there, and we might be able to get a taste of that in the future, because up to now, the only close thing to that resembles that is She-Venom. That looks pretty cool because it doesn't look exactly like a Venom, but it has a spin. But in the comics, they take that up a bit more, and then, for example, Wolverine will have like these crazy looking eyes with this costume still, and it looks sick. So I mean, maybe we might get that in the future. But overall, I think that's all I have to say about the movie right now. Yes, I did like it, but no, I'm not in love with it. I think I liked the first Venom movie more, just because it was a bit more, not as it was better directed. I do recommend people to see it, especially if you like Marvel, if you like Venom and Spider-Man. So definitely watch it. I don't want to give it a rating because I think I would rate it too low, even though I shouldn't. But it was still a good movie, so I'm not gonna give it a rating. But what'd you think overall? I'm gonna wrap it up.
Like a 1 to 10?
No, just what'd you think about the movie?
It was really great. I think it's better than the first one.
Whoa.
And like, Carnage is my favorite character, like in Marvel, like overall, and that's why I really like this movie. But there's not as a lot of action as I expected, but I really liked it overall.
And there's another scene that kind of annoyed me, but it was funny. Like, I mean, the movie's funny. A lot of people are gonna love that. I don't really expect Venom and Carnage to be that funny. I expect them to be, dark and moody and broody and crazy and psycho. But there's a scene that he goes to a rave, right? And it's funny. I mean, I liked it. It was funny. But I just didn't see that. I mean, it doesn't fit.
I love you, Venom. I love you too, one-legged person.
Yeah. So it was pretty funny. There's some pretty funny scenes in the movie, and that are gonna get people to laugh and people to like it. So I mean, kudos to the movie. I'm glad that it's doing good. And that's pretty much my peace of mind on Venom. Would you like to add anything else?
No.
So with that being said, I just want to say thank you guys for joining us once again. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and possibly share if you like this video.
Pizza out.
Pizza out. Thank you. Bye.
Watch the movie.
Watch Venom. Let there be carnage. Pizza out.
Pizza.
Venom.